Hi, everyone. I'm Barb Alvarez with Church by the Sea. Thank you so much for joining us at the Reemployment Webinars. Today, our guest is Marta Ramirez. She will be covering networking, but give me a second and I'll introduce her in a second. Before we move on, I want to let you know that all of these sessions are recorded and will be on our church website, our social media channels, YouTube. If you missed some information, you can go back and watch it again. If you know of someone who needs this information, please share the link. Let's see. I want to thank Jim Sherm, the Greater Miami Society for Human Resources Professionals. They are our partners in putting this webinar series on for you. They too decided that they wanted to jump in and help the community in any way they can. And they have some amazing information to share with us. Announcements. There's a Q&A box here. That is how you would communicate with us. So if you have questions, please type your questions into the Q&A box. We'll be looking out to make sure that we answer your questions. Future events next week, we will have our last of the reemployment webinar series. Pilar Proctor, who's here with us today, will be talking about interviewing, how to land that job. And Thursday, that following Thursday, the 29th, she will be doing the same workshop in Spanish. Today's workshop is about networking, and this coming Thursday at 10 a.m., you can catch the workshop in Spanish. And don't forget that every Friday at 1 o'clock through November, through early November, we are having the self-care series, which is all about how to take care of yourselves and your mental health during this crazy time in the world. But without further ado, let me introduce to you Marta Ramirez. She is our human resource professional today that is going to be leading this workshop on networking. Marta has an MBA. She has 25 years of experience in the international arena in human resources. She is managing partner at M7C Human Capital Consulting. She has years of experience in the airline and transportation industry. She's a public speaker, a trainer, a personal and executive coach. Here is Marta.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to share can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen? Barbara?
We can see it beautifully, Marta. We can see it beautifully.
Awesome. Thank you for the confirmation. Alrighty, so we are here today. I'm so excited to be here. As Barbara mentioned, my name is Marta Ramirez, and I will be taking you through the content that we have today for networking. I can tell you from personal experience that networking is not something that I am inclined to easily do. However, I have found out that throughout the years, it's a valuable skill that you need to develop in order to expand your own skills and to connect into a circle of individuals that can help you be better and can also help you do better. And I read a quote recently that says that networking is to business as location is to real estate. So we have to learn which are the best ways to network. And we're here to do that. So the essential content for today, we're going to spend a little time on the topic of awareness, because awareness is key when we go out to network. Also, awareness is key to realize how we click, how we connect, and how can we be better in the environments in which we participate. Also, we're going to look into the concept of preparation. And because that is key, we need to prepare when we go to a network session. We need to prepare when we want to connect with somebody. We also need to prepare when we go to an interview. And most times when we network, when we are in an environment or an event of networking, it's almost as we are being interviewed and we're interviewing other people. Also, the know yourself piece. I have a little bit of content on the different types of personalities, how we click, what are the things that we prefer, just given our national tendencies. And also the elevator speech, which is a brief introduction of yourself and how we can ask questions and follow up, because follow up is critical. So on the piece of knowing yourself, we want to make sure that we get into an understanding of how we click. Why sometimes we respond in the ways that we respond. Why sometimes we tend to have fears. Why sometimes we take risks or we don't take risks. And becoming aware of the environment. Sometimes the environment can be intimidating for us. Sometimes we're not appropriately prepared to face the environment. Either we're too casual or we're too formal, and we need to understand that we need to match the environment. Also, be sure that you know what are you looking for, because the best opportunity that you have to exercise clarity as to what is it that you're looking for, what industry, what position, what is the location that you prefer to work, what is the culture or the environment in which you can flourish. That is also important that you know and that you validate. And also know your worth, because each of us, given our experiences, given our education, given the skills that we have developed or the competencies that we have learned, we can have certain degree of worth, and we should never diminish that. So it is important that you look and consider all these areas in which you can learn to know yourself a little bit. And to do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about personalities. And you will see a colored dot there next to the pictures. And this is the fiery red, and it's also known as the dominant style. These individuals prefer to be directive, decisive, dominant. They often appear impatient and a little bit intense. They can sometimes be rude and dismissive of others. When you are in a networking environment, these people, if you don't know how to listen to them, they're probably looking someplace else, and they're probably looking into the environment and not really connecting directly with you, because their primary focus is not really people. They are more comfortable doing tasks, accomplishing things. These people like taking risks, and they fear losing control. When you interact with a dominant style in a networking event, keep in mind that you want to connect with them and keep them engaged and asking them questions for the things that they have accomplished. They would take a lot of joy in sharing what is it that they have completed, how they completed it, and showing you their accolades. So keep that style in mind, because they have little patience sometimes for those individual interactions. Then we have the cool blue. These are the compliance people. These individuals prefer to be careful, analytic, precise, correct. They like to be cautious, and they like to speak with facts, with statistics. They could come across sometimes as moody, unsocial, negative. They fear chaos. That's why they want to be so precise and so exact. And they don't like taking risks. So when you interact with this compliance style, remember to talk about statistics and facts, and listen how the person expresses himself, so you can connect and match better their style. Then we have the sunshine yellow. I think that a lot of you can recognize this picture as the other ones that I'm sharing, but this is the influencer style. These people like to be involved, they're interactive, they're talkative, they express themselves very clearly, they're not shy, they like to tell jokes, they like to take risks also. They are the life of the party. These people are going crazy through this pandemic because they can connect easily with others. They're most concerned with people than with tasks. So when you interact with an influencer, you probably recognize it immediately in a networking event, because these are the people that are keeping the party alive. Remember to listen to them, maybe to laugh at their jokes and compliment their outfit. Find genuine ways into connecting with these people. They're really easygoing and they show themselves easily to connect with others. Then we have the earthly green. This is the supportive type. The supportive type are individuals that are steady, harmonic, considerate. They're often patient and understanding. They don't express themselves so much. They don't criticize people. They maybe appear undecisive or fearful or maybe shy. They don't like to take risks, okay? So, but these people are the best listeners they are. So when you interact with them, they will listen to you attentively. They will be interested in every word you say. Give them space and just enjoy the opportunity that you have to interact with them, because they're always kind and they will always make you feel welcome. So if you have an opportunity, think about the people that may resemble these personalities that we have shared, and maybe yourself. Where do you find yourself? When we share this, we don't do this to label people or to tell them names. We do this because we create awareness of how we're wired. What are the behavioral tendencies that we're more comfortable with? And that you need to know. So maybe not now, but when you have time, think about 2 characteristics that describe you best, that you like best about you. And then maybe 2 characteristics that you don't like so much about yourself, but that you need to be aware of, because the intent here is that you know yourself and how you tend to display yourself and interact in these networking skills. So preparing for networking is critical. Preparation is the basics of success. How can you prepare best? The goal here is that in all your professional interactions, you are prepared to succeed. And you need to prepare creating an organized system that works for you. For example, I'm working with a new customer. So I have this little booklet that I keep, and all the conversations that we have, all the scheduled phone calls, all the agreements that we have from the meetings that we do, I write down here. You need to do that for your networking system. You need to have a way in which you keep track of who are the people that you currently are networking with or that you wish to network with. You also need to keep your resume in proper format. So when you share it at a networking event or with a person that you're networking with, you feel comfortable that you're handing them an introduction of yourself in paper that is free of errors. You also need to refresh your LinkedIn profile. And you can do that by Googling, by getting ideas of other LinkedIn profiles that are similar to yours, that have the same, maybe the same jobs that you had in the past. And from that place, you can get ideas as to how you can refresh your LinkedIn profile. You also want to go and explore in LinkedIn the people that are connected with your people that maybe can help you or open a door to introduce you with other folks so you can expand your network. And also remember your social media. It is important that through your social media, you filter who are the people that are going to help you through this process of reinventing yourself or finding a new job, or maybe getting into a new industry or something that you want to do different at this time, that you have an opportunity to find a new work. So research also for local events and how you can participate on those. That's another opportunity that you have for networking. And write a list of questions that can be of interest to you to find out more, or how you can connect better with others when you have the opportunity to network. So again, preparation is key for you to have a good and successful networking interaction. Here we have, where do we network? Well, before the pandemic, we used to network in workshops, in conferences. We used to network live in local chapters, in churches, in local events. But we also connected before the pandemic through social media. Now, during the pandemic, all these things are on hold in a way, at least the live interactions, but we do have a lot of events that are online. Again, you need to have preparation as to where to go to do these network opportunities now during the pandemic. LinkedIn, Twitter, even the local chapters, this local Sharon chapter, the Greater Miami chapter has networking opportunities. The Church by the Sea and other areas as well. Other institutions, other industries may have local events that you need to be looking into. How can you successfully network these days during the pandemic? The other key area of networking is your presentation. Just as you need to prepare for a networking event, you need to prepare to present yourself in a way that you can have the best opportunity to create a good impression, to have that chance to have people remember you. And that happens in both on paper with your resume and in person with your presence. If you're going to connect via Zoom, make sure that your presentation is appropriate for that type of connection, that you have good lighting, that you have a good environment. Be well groomed and addressed appropriately when you're going to interact with somebody in a networking opportunity. Be aware of your body language, your tone of voice, and your choice of words. There's out there a communication formula that says that your body language impacts the way that you communicate 55% versus your tone of voice that is 38%, and your choice of words is 7%. So think about this. The opportunity that you have to create a good impression with your body language and your tone of voice is critical. And this doesn't happen by magic. It happens by awareness and also by preparation. And when you are in networking circumstances, when you're meeting a new person, when you're going to an interview, all these things you need to keep in mind. Also keep your eye contact and a firm handshake. These are things that are going to help you be remembered as an individual that is genuinely prepared and engaged for a connection. Another area that you need to have in mind for an effective presentation of yourself is your conversation. Be prudent with your conversation. Keep the conversation positive and light. Careful of those jokes that may not be appropriate, even if somebody else is telling them. Careful with that. Focus on the person that you're conversing with, that you're interacting with, and be genuinely and honest in all the things that you share and in the way in which you are connecting with them. So here I prepared a little 30-second elevator speech that I encourage you to do for yourself. When you are in networking events or when you have an opportunity to connect with someone that can help you in this journey of finding a job, or maybe in the future expanding your networking relationships, keep in mind that you want to have a brief introduction of yourself. For example, I put here, I am Marta Ramirez. I have worked in the hospitality industry for the last 7 years. I like serving others and being available to provide good service. I like making sure that my customers are well served, and I don't mind going the extra mile to make them feel special. I am currently looking to work in a company that appreciates customer service and values making the customer experience a special one. This elevator speech, again, needs to be your own. You need to be comfortable with how you're introducing yourself, using your own words, using your strengths, and using those areas that you know and you feel confident that you can do well. Another key area of your networking is the art of asking questions. Open-ended questions are those questions that invite the other person to expand. And closed-ended questions are those that the person can answer yes or no. So when you're interacting with somebody, keep in mind that you want to ask them open-ended questions. They start with what, with where, with why, things like that. The yes and no questions don't give you room to expand that interaction. And when you ask questions, be curious about the other person. Don't get too personal to the point that you could be intrusive and it can be a turn off to the other person. Engage in a personal level first. Give your name and ask for the person's name. And also try to remember the name, their name. I have a quick trick that I can share for you to remember names. When the person says their name, remember them or repeat them in your mind 2 or 3 times, or maybe remember somebody that has the same name, or a thing that can be associated with the name or with the person. And that way you can be a little bit more intentional about remembering the person's name. And give a genuine compliment to the person that you're interacting with. Like if you like their tie, or if you like their outfit, or if it's a lady and she's carrying a nice purse, give a compliment that is honest and is genuine. And keep in mind that networking is for building healthy business relationships, healthy, lasting professional relationships, not so much about making friends. While maybe in a network event, you can find affinity with a person and they can become your friend, but that is not the end in mind of a networking interaction. And be straight and ask for help, because people love to help and people like to help. So if there's anything that you feel in your heart that that person can do for you, that they can introduce you to somebody else, that they can take your resume and bring it to a decision-making person or bring it to the HR department, do that, because people do like to help. And sometimes we're shy and we don't think about that the other person is genuinely interested in wanting to help us. Now, these are some of the questions that you can practice when you have networking opportunities. Tell me, what do you do? Or how long you lived in Miami? Or what are your favorite restaurants in Miami? Or what do you do to enjoy most about your day or about your job? These questions that help the person talk about what they like and what they find interesting will give you a great leeway to connect with the individual. People like to talk about themselves. They like to talk about what they do good. They like to talk about what they enjoy. So again, these are some good questions that you can keep in mind. And in that same theme, you can develop your own as well. Another key area of the networking skills is to follow up. And this is something that we need to also have an art to do, because sometimes it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's not in our comfort zone to follow up. We may feel shy, we may feel, oh, I'm intrusive, but do follow up. Do some research about the person that you have met. Remember a key fact from the conversation that you had with them. And when you connect with them again, keep that in mind and bring it to their attention. Write an email thanking the person, inviting them for a follow-up conversation. Make sure that that email is addressed professionally, that you greet the person, that you talk a little bit about what you enjoyed when you met them, or maybe something else that was there as a key aspect of your connection with them, and do that. Or follow up with a phone call. If you have that person's business card, or if you exchange their phone number, be prepared to have that conversation and that follow-up call. And do reach out regularly if you have established already a connection. And when I mean regularly, keep in mind that it needs to be appropriate for the occasion. You don't want to follow up every day. You don't want to follow up every other day either. Give the person a little bit of breathing room, but do continue to establish that touch point in which you can develop that relationship. And again, don't be shy to ask for help. When you write that email, when you do that phone call, make sure that they know where you're at in your search. Maybe share a little bit of what have you done, or if they put you in contact with somebody else, thank them and tell them how that conversation go. Or if they have the opportunity to introduce you to somebody else, ask them to do that. Because again, people do like to help. And sorry, I think I have a little bit of technical difficulty here, that my computer has frozen. Okay, here we go. The last slide that we have here to share is to expand your value. As an individual, or as a professional, or as a worker, you always want to learn something new. And I would encourage you to do something that you're afraid of doing. In my office, I have this little thing that says, do something that you're afraid of doing every day, because that would help you expand yourself and to gain a little bit of confidence. Also read about your industry. Read what is happening around the specific area of your expertise or of your job. How is the technology advancing for that particular area that you have worked in the past, or that you're interested in working on? And always look for ways to grow your network, and share with your network maybe some things that you have read, a new book that is interesting to you, or something that you have done that can help you expand that value that you bring to the table. And interact always with awareness on your end and on others. Sometimes people are not in the best mood, or maybe they're preoccupied with something in their minds, and try to be knowledgeable and be aware, catching on that. If you're in a working event and a person does not want to open up, or is not enjoying the conversation, that is okay. Maybe that person is going through something, but keep that in mind. That is an opportunity for you to understand your environment and to move on, maybe to talk to another person. Be in touch with your emotions and your feelings and the feelings of others. If you're in an environment that doesn't make you feel good, keep that in mind, because that is going to affect the way you come across, the way your body language come across, the way your tone of voice come across. And you always want to come across as being healthy and being capable and interesting to connect with other people. And again, maintain your conversation positive. You want to make sure that you're talking about things that are positive and not things that go down to a down spiral. If you haven't found a job in a long time, don't cry too much about, oh, I have been without a job for 7-8 months, because that is not what people want to hear. People want to hear maybe some things that are that you are doing that can help you and help them guide you along the line. And work hard to leave a good impression. This is part of the preparation. This is part of the homework that you need to do. And this is part of the growth that you need to be continually engaged with. Because if you leave a good impression, then you can have the chance to have that person connect easier with you and to also recommend you with others. And like I said in the beginning, networking is to business as location is to real estate. Make sure that in all your networking opportunities, you are prepared and you have a conversation that is engaging, and you have a disposition and a presentation that can help you interact and connect best with others. So this is the content for today. Now I'm ready for questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marta. Okay, so the floor is open for questions. Please go ahead and type your questions into the Q&A box if you have any questions of Marta. I'd also like to ask someone to go ahead and share the link to the webinars in the Q&A box in case anyone wants to just go ahead and copy it and send it to somebody. Please go ahead and do that. I'm having some technical difficulties on my end, so I am a little bit reluctant to start to fiddle around and try to find the link. But I'll go ahead and comment on some of the things I heard, Marta. I feel like for myself anyway, that sometimes I'm shy to network because I feel like I'm bothering people, and I don't realize how much people really do want to help. When people ask me for my help, I'm pretty good about, wanting to, connect people, but I'm always self-conscious feeling that I'm bothering people.
Yeah, that's a very normal feeling to have, Barbara. I think that most of us feel that we're going to be a bother to somebody, especially if we're in that space, right? That we don't have a job currently, or that we have been laid off, and emotionally we're a little bit sensitive. But we need to do something that we're afraid of doing, and just lounge and ask for the order of help. And you, even if you're shy and you don't want to be so direct, just establish a conversation of where you're at and what is it that you're looking. And these are some of the things that I'm thinking. Maybe some of you have taken this opportunity of this time of not working to change your industry or to change your job, to go into a different place. So you want to make sure that you share that with the person. That's why I talked about the preparation. There has to be preparation so you can better be aware of how is it that you can engage with a person that you have the opportunity to network with.
Okay, thank you. I think it's also important to remember that, we are in a vulnerable place when we are without work and maybe not feeling our best selves, but somehow to tap into a positive mindset before going into a networking event, because like you said earlier, no one wants to hear all the complaining and being a victim. That doesn't necessarily bode well for possible employer.
And I think also that is why you need to create awareness of your personality, because we are all wired differently, and one personality is not best than the other. We are just different, and each personality can bring an amazing value to the table. And the best you know yourself, and the best that you connect with a job that can behave as you do, the happier you're going to be and the best performing you're going to share, because you are in your comfort zone. And that doesn't mean that you need to be there all the time. Sometimes you will be stretched out of your comfort zone, and that is okay, and that is healthy, but you need to be aware of that as well.
Thank you. We have another couple of questions coming in. Let's see. How long is a reasonable time to talk to one person during a networking event? I guess we're assuming that this is an in-person networking event.
I think, again, awareness is key. If you see the conversation going well and the person is enjoying you and you're enjoying them, and the conversation is evolving and you can see their body language being engaged, they're leaning in, they're listening well, maybe that's the person that you speak with all night long. But if you see that it's time to move on, or if the person is looking around to try to connect with other people, then that's why awareness is so key. You need to be very fine-tuned into how the person is connecting with you. So I don't know if any other of the presenters want to expand of that, but there's not like a magic formula that, you know, you can have 5 minutes and then move on to talk to the other person. It all depends on how the connection, how comfortable you're both in the conversation, and where is it taking you as well.
Okay, so you just answered that question. That question was, we had a question of how long is a reasonable time to talk to one person during a networking event? So you pretty much answered that saying, feel it out, read the room.
Yes.
Okay.
Be aware, be aware.
So if someone isn't accepted into the job, can we ask for the company person in charge why, so we can develop our interactions more and or better? Should we continue to keep in touch with them?
Absolutely, absolutely. If that invitation is open, I think so. Again, careful here, if you're not accepted into the job, how you do the follow-up. I have, in my experience, connected with people that were not accepted at that point in time initially for that job, but they stayed in touch. And then another job that was better matching for their skills, for their experience came up, and we had the opportunity to reconnect. So when you reconnect with that person that maybe was a decision maker that at that time did not give you the job, again, exercise some sort of prudence. Don't go asking, oh, why didn't you give me the job? And I want to know specifically how I failed. No, no, no. Be careful of how that interaction takes place, and always tilt it to the positive end. I know this didn't happen yet. I am very interested in this industry. I am very interested in this company for X, Y, and Z. And I want you to remember for the future. Can I, and even ask permission, can I contact you again if I see an opportunity that is available in the web, or can you contact me if you see a job that is better suited for me? Sometimes we are not the best match, but we're the second best match. And something can happen to that first match, and that person may not succeed in the job or may have an accident. Anything can happen. And you, by demonstrated interest, by being connected, can be in the mind of the person that is the decision making, and something can come up. You never know.
Good one. Now that things are beginning to open back up, I'm going to assume that we're going to have more in-person networking events and opportunities. Marta, how do we, if we are in a room where there are many opportunities to network, how do we finish a conversation and move on to the next one without offending anyone?
I think you can graciously bring the conversation to a closure. Oh, it was so very nice to meet you. You know, just if you had the point that the conversation is a little bit saturated already, just very graciously wrap up that conversation with thanks. Maybe like, I will give you, how about if I meet with you, or if I give you a call in a week or so, and I'm gonna go over to the side, and or just kind of excuse yourself. Oh, I'm gonna get something to drink or something to eat, and excuse yourself to move around. It's an art. That's why I said that, you know, become aware of your environment and of yourself, and how that body language and how that conversation goes, so you can maneuver and move around when you feel that you need to.
One of the things that always helps me in situations where I have to do presentations or any of these types of things where I'm engaging with people is role playing. So while it may feel silly, I personally would encourage people to role play, even entering a conversation, extracting yourself from a conversation, saying thank you, moving on. What are your feelings on that, Marta?
Absolutely. Just like you need to role play your 30-second elevator speech, and you need to role play the questions that you feel more comfortable asking. Role play that as well. Role play like, oh, it has been so lovely to speak with you. I look forward to connecting with you again and seeing you. Excuse me for a minute. I'm gonna go and see somebody that I wanted to talk to for a while, or just maneuver that smooth exit from one person to the next as well. But do the role play. The practice is critical. The preparation is critical for you to have a good impact in those interactions.
One of the things that one of your colleagues, Robert Garcia, said in the first of these reemployment webinars is that even in pandemic, there are so many opportunities, and this could be a great time to reinvent yourself. Now, you talked about company culture a few minutes ago, and how do we explore? How do we find out the kind of place that we want? What are the questions, and what do we look for to find the kind of place that would be healthy and lead to a positive employment experience for us? And the other thing I want to touch on is that there's a certain amount of faith that has to be involved in finding the right job for ourselves. And that is also trusting that we don't have to take the first thing that is offered, or, can you address some of that?
Okay, so I'll start with the latter, the certain amount of faith. That's why one of the points that I put there is like, know your worth, right? Because even though you may feel down because you don't have a job, you have had a job before. You know the things that you have done well before. You know the things that you have been recognized and praised for before. So you need to keep that in mind. You need to know what are the strengths of your personality. What are the things that give you passion? If you're in the service industry, if you're in the customer service industry, what are some of the things that you have done beyond and above that has brought you satisfaction and the customer you are serving satisfaction? And I'm sorry, remind me again of the first part of the question was around
culture. What are the right questions to ask and the things to look for to, insert ourselves in a culture that is, deserves us,
yes,
so to speak.
So nowadays is the best, we have the best tools to find about a culture. All the hotels, all the restaurants, all the companies have a social media. Look at what is it that they are sharing. If you have the opportunity to visit the place yourself, do that. If you want to work at a hotel, if you want to work at a restaurant, go in there and find out how you feel when you walk in. How do they treat you when you show up? Those are things that are critical for you to find that fit. And also have clarity. I talked about clarity early on the presentation. Have clarity of where is it that you want to go, because the clearer you have it in your mind, the better it is for you to know it when you find it. So make sure you know where is it that you want to go. Write on it. I deeply believe on writing things down on paper. Write down on a piece of paper, what is the culture that you want to be part of, and what are you bringing in to make that culture sustainable and even better? And look into the venues that we have nowadays. For companies, there's a website called the Glassdoor, also in LinkedIn. There's opportunity for you to see how people interact with the company. What are the things that they're posting? If something that is good or it's important to you to have some sort of community or social interaction or social community connections, look what is that organization doing for your community and how you can determine that from these different types of sources. And obviously the ultimate and favorite is find somebody that works there that can share with you the experience. Or if it's a hotel or if it is a restaurant, establish a conversation with one of the workers and ask them directly, How does it feel to work here? What is it like to work here? What do you like about the work here? What are the benefits that you most enjoy from working here? And that way you can find more information. But culture is critical. You want to be in a place in which you feel good and that you feel that you belong and that you feel that you can contribute.
Okay. Emily is asking, let's see, some of us usually connect with people we are familiar with, like our family members, friends, and colleagues. So is it risky to make new connections or people you don't know to endorse you?
I would say there's always a bit of hesitation, either because you're shy or because you don't completely trust. But we're talking about business connections, right? And you want to establish or have the art to establish a conversation with those people so you can talk about business, so you can talk about opportunities, so you can talk about the culture of the workplace. So it is risky to the point that makes us feel uncomfortable, but I don't think it's risky to the point of doubting our own safety or anything like that.
Okay. One last point that I would like to make and that I'd like for you to address also, and maybe I've already made it, is that, you know, when we are between jobs, oftentimes we are in a vulnerable mental state. What are some ways that we can keep ourselves in a positive mental state that and with positive, good energy, so that, you know, the people that we're approaching, you know, aren't afraid of us? Because sometimes it's hard to be in front of somebody who's not doing so well and, you know, be enthusiastic about that.
Oh my gosh, I can do an entire session on that. So let me see how I can control myself. The first one is, I think it is important to do this exercise that is called killing ants, your automatic negative thoughts. You have to find a way when an automatic negative thought comes into your mind to acknowledge it and process it, because otherwise it's going to stay on your mind. They say that a lot of the thoughts that we think throughout the day are repeated thoughts. So if you have a negative thought that you're not going to find a job, that I'm going to go here and they don't like me, you need to write that down. I feel that if I go here, I'm not going to get the job. Is this true? Ask that question to yourself. Is this true? It's probably not true. Is it true all the time? Definitely not true all the time. And then the other question is, what if this would be the total opposite? So twist the question around so you can prepare your mind to be more positive. The other thing, Barbara, that is critical is that you know that your mind, your body, your social connections, and your spirit are going to affect the way you feel. So you need to find ways in which you can rest your mind. You can do that through breathing, through jumping, through exercising. You can also take care of your body. Are you having too much caffeine before you're going to interact or going to an interview? Are you having, you know, not enough water? Your brain needs water so you can think well. So you need to be cognizant of how your body reacts. What are the foods that make you feel good? The foods that make you feel lethargic? All these things are connecting. How is your social network impacting the way you think? Are your friends positive? Are your friends bringing you down? What are the things that you're connecting in your social media? Are they helping you be better? Are they bringing you down because you're looking at things that are unrealistic? And lastly, is your spiritual piece. I read recently that only 7 minutes of sun in the morning, not even, you don't even have to be exposed in the sun, but being in the clarity of the early morning day is super critical for your brain and your mood functioning. So, you know, sometimes it's raining, and what do? I stand out in my porch for 6 or 7 minutes, because that first light of the day is super critical for your brain's function as well and for your mental clarity. So again, remember, all these are close neighbors: your mind, your body, your social connections, and your spiritual connection. And all those need to be nourished on a daily basis.
Great answer, Marta. Now we have Emily asking, if an interview becomes uncomfortable or maybe even appropriate, how do we navigate that?
I'm sorry, I did not hear the first. If
an interview becomes uncomfortable or inappropriate, how do we navigate that?
Ask the person to ask the question again, because if the question is inappropriate, you need to have the person reflect on what they have asked you. Now, if you're starting to feel uncomfortable, you need to know why. Maybe you're not prepared. Maybe the person is asking you a question that is not relevant for your job. And you can answer that also with, can you please be clear? Can you please express the question in other words? So kind of put it back on the person if you are uncomfortable, because that way the person can have the opportunity to reflect, and you also have a little bit of leeway of time to interact. I'm not sure if they can provide an example, but that's the way that I would do it. I would throw it back to the person and ask them again, can you please say that again? Or can you reword it? Because I don't understand. It is okay to say that you don't understand if something is even make you feel uncomfortable.
Okay. All right, we are about running out of time. So if we don't have any more questions, I will go ahead and thank you very, very much, Marta, for a fabulous session. We really enjoyed this topic. Thank you again, Jim Sherm, for partnering with us to provide this information to everyone. I see that we're getting a couple more questions. Hold on, let's see. Nope, I guess everyone's just saying thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Church by the Sea, for providing this opportunity and platform as well. Again, this coming Thursday at 10 a.m., Marta will be sharing this information in Spanish. If you know of someone who needs it, please share the link. And again, all of these sessions are recorded. Let me just check the Q&A one more time, because it looks like we have a couple of other questions. Nope. People saying very insightful experience and informative. Also, remember that next week on the 27th, Pilar Proctor will be sharing, interviewing tips and tricks and how to land that job. And on the 29th, she will be sharing the same information in Spanish. Every Friday at 1 o'clock. We have our Friday Lunch and Learn. This coming Friday, we have Chef Dulce sharing with us how to make healthy sweets that are nutritious. Let's see. Again, thank you, Marta. Thank you, Jim Sherm. And we hope to see you guys back here this coming Thursday and next Tuesday. And that's all for now, folks. Thank you.
Bye-bye.